Let's get right into it. Number 9. The high place. Urge. You're standing on a balcony, maybe a cliffside overlook, or just waiting for a train. The view is nice. The air is crisp. And then, a little gremlin in the back of your skull whispers, you could just jump. It's not a sad thought. It's not a cry for help. It's a bizarre, intrusive, almost magnetic pull toward doing the one thing you absolutely should not do. Or maybe you're driving, gripping the wheel, and your brain casually suggests, hey, you know what would be wild? A little swerve into oncoming traffic. You slam the mental door on the thought, horrified, and grip the wheel tighter, suddenly convinced your own mind is trying to assassinate you. Welcome to the call of the void, or as the French, who are clearly better at naming things, call it l'appel du vide. This isn't your brain's secret villain monologue. It's actually the opposite. Researchers believe this happens when your brain's survival signals get their wires crossed. Your brain sees the danger, the high ledge, the speeding cars, and screams, "Stay back! Danger! We are going to die!" But the signal is so fast, so primal, that your conscious mind only catches the tail end of it. It misinterprets the warning, "Don't jump," as the instruction, "Jump." The sheer horror and panic you feel in that moment is actually the proof that the system is working. Your brain is running a fire drill, and the part of you that's in charge is yelling, "Yes, I see the fire. Thank you. I would very much like to not run into it." It's a high-speed, deeply unsettling affirmation of your will to live. Your brain is basically so terrified of you falling that it makes you think about falling, just to make sure you're paying attention. So next time your brain suggests a scenic swan dive off the Grand Canyon, just pat it on the head and say, "Thanks for the heads up, you little psychopath." Number 8. The awful urge. Picture this. You're holding a baby, a fragile, tiny, adorable little human. You're cooing at it, smiling. And then, from the deepest, darkest pit of your subconscious, a thought flashes into your mind. A vivid, high-definition image of you just yeeting that baby across the room. Or maybe you're chopping vegetables, and your beloved cat rubs against your leg, and your brain offers up the unprompted, blood-curdling suggestion of what that very sharp knife could do. The thought is so vile, so alien, that it makes your stomach turn. You recoil, ashamed and terrified. What kind of monster are you? Relax. You're just a monster with a perfectly normal, albeit malfunctioning brain. These are called harm-based intrusive thoughts, and they are the absolute worst. They prey on the things you care about most. Why? Because your brain is a relentless, over-caffeinated risk assessment manager. It's constantly running simulations of the worst possible outcomes to prevent them from happening. When you love something, whether it's a baby, a pet, or your partner, your brain registers it as a high-stakes variable. So, it stress tests your commitment by throwing the most heinous anti-you scenario it can imagine onto your mental movie screen. The key here is your reaction. You're horrified, right? Disgusted? That's the entire point. That revulsion is the proof in the pudding. It's your brain's way of checking in, asking, "We're still on the 'don't hurt the things we love' page, right?" And your visceral disgust is you screaming back, "Yes, obviously now please get out of my head." The people who actually do these things don't have these thoughts and feel bad about them. They just do them. So in a twisted way, being horrified by the thought of punting a puppy is the surest sign you never, ever would. Number 7. Sudden scream syndrome. You're in a dead silent library, or a funeral. Or maybe you're in the middle of a quarterly budget meeting, and your boss is droning on about synergy and deliverables. The silence is thick. The social contract is clear. Be quiet, be respectful, be professional. And that's precisely when your brain, the ultimate anarchist, leans in and whispers, "You should scream. Right now. Just a full-throated horror movie shriek. See what happens." The urge is so powerful, so tempting, you might have to physically clench your jaw to stop it. What on earth is that about? This is your brain getting bored and deciding to play a little game called "What's the most socially catastrophic thing I could do right now?" It's a variation of intrusive thoughts, but this one is tied directly to social rules. Our lives are governed by a complex web of unwritten codes of conduct. Don't sing opera on the bus. Don't propose to a stranger. Don't start a mosh pit at a christening. Most of the time, we follow these rules automatically. But our brains have a rebellious streak. The part of your mind that is hyper-aware of the rule, "do not make a loud noise here," can sometimes get stuck in a feedback loop. It thinks so hard about not screaming that the concept of screaming becomes the biggest, loudest thing in your head. It's the same reason you're told not to think about a pink elephant, and suddenly your entire mental landscape is a pachyderm parade. The urge isn't a genuine desire to cause chaos, it's a cognitive hiccup. It's your brain pressing the big red button in a simulation just to see if it works. So no, you don't actually want to ruin your cousin's wedding. Your brain just wanted to remind you that you totally could. Number 6, relationship self-destruct. You're having a perfect evening with your partner. You just had a great dinner. You're laughing at some dumb inside joke, and you feel that warm, fuzzy glow of contentment. And as you look into the eyes of this person you love, your brain chooses this exact moment to drop a bomb. Break up with them. Right now. Just say the words, "I don't love you anymore," and watch the world burn. The thought is so jarring, so completely disconnected from your actual feelings, that it gives you emotional whiplash. You spend the rest of the night wondering if you're a sociopath, secretly miserable and lying to yourself. This is your brain's anxiety about good things. For some people, happiness and stability are suspicious. When things are going too well, the part of our brain responsible for threat detection gets nervous. It's used to solving problems, putting out fires, and navigating drama. A calm, happy relationship, it doesn't trust it. It's like a security guard who's so used to fighting off burglars that on a quiet night, he starts trying to pick the locks himself just to make sure they're secure. This thought is your brain trying to pick the lock. It's a preemptive strike against future pain. If I end it now, on my own terms, the twisted logic goes, then they can't hurt me later. It's a deeply flawed self-preservation instinct. It's also a way for your brain to test the foundation. By imagining the absolute worst-case scenario, total emotional destruction, it's trying to gauge the strength of your feelings. The fact that the thought horrifies you is, once again, the answer. It confirms that the idea of leaving is terrible, therefore your connection is strong. It's just the most stressful and least romantic way of figuring that out. Number 5, manual breathing mode. Stop what you're doing for a second. Think about your breathing. Are you doing it right? In and out. Wait, was that too shallow? Should it be deeper? Now you have to consciously manage the rise and fall of your own chest. Congratulations, you've now activated manual breathing mode, and it's going to be awkward for the next 2 minutes. This can happen with anything your body does automatically. Suddenly, you'll be walking down the street and think, wait, how does walking work? Is it heel-toe? Am I moving my arms correctly? You become a clunky, self-conscious robot until your brain finally gets bored and switches back to autopilot. This bizarre phenomenon is what happens when your conscious mind decides to interfere with your autonomic nervous system, the brilliant, silent engine that runs your body without you needing to think about it. It handles your breathing, your blinking, your swallowing, your heartbeat. It's been doing this stuff perfectly since you were born. But every once in a while, your frontal lobe, the arrogant know-it-all of the brain, decides it can do a better job. It's a form of hyper-awareness, often triggered by a fleeting moment of anxiety, or even just simple boredom. Your brain focuses so intensely on a single automatic process that it breaks it. It's like trying to explain to a centipede how to walk. If the centipede actually stopped to think about coordinating all 100 of its legs, it would fall over immediately. Your brain is the centipede. When you start micromanaging your own biological software, it starts to glitch. The best way to fix it is to distract yourself. Go watch a video of a cat falling off a couch. Your brain will forget its little power trip and hand the controls back to the part of your body that actually knows what it's doing. Number 4, the phantom stove burner. You've left the house. You're 5 minutes down the road, on your way to work. And then it hits you. A cold, creeping dread. Did I turn off the stove? You have a vague memory of turning it off. You're 99% sure you did. But that 1% is now a screaming banshee in your head, painting vivid pictures of your home engulfed in flames, your neighbors running for their lives, and your cat making the local news for all the wrong reasons. You know it's irrational. You know you turned it off. But the doubt is so powerful you seriously consider turning the car around and driving all the way back just to check. This is intrusive doubt, the nagging, persistent little troll that loves to undermine your confidence in your own memory. It's a common feature of obsessive-compulsive disorder, but plenty of people without the full-blown disorder experience it. Your brain is designed to have a task-complete signal. When you finish a routine action, like locking a door or turning off an appliance, your brain is supposed to file it away and move on. But sometimes, especially if you're stressed or distracted, that signal doesn't quite send. The mental receipt gets lost, so your brain's internal safety inspector keeps flagging the task as potentially incomplete. It's not that you've forgotten, it's that your brain has forgotten to confirm that you've remembered. This creates a loop of uncertainty. The more you try to reassure yourself, the more the doubt digs in. Are you sure you remember turning it off, or do you just remember thinking about turning it off? The only way out is to either go back and check, reinforcing the cycle, or to learn to sit with the discomfort and trust that your past self wasn't a complete idiot. Usually. Number 3. The Great Fraud Confession. You're about to give a big presentation at work. You've prepared for weeks. You know the material inside and out. But as you stand up, a voice in your head says, "They're all going to find out. They're going to realize you're a complete fraud who has no idea what they're talking about." The fear is so intense that you have a fleeting, insane urge to just lean into the microphone and say, "All right, everyone, confession time. I've been faking it this entire time. I learned everything I know from Wikipedia 5 minutes ago. I am a charlatan. Thank you for your time." This is imposter syndrome on steroids. It's the deep, unshakable feeling that your accomplishments are all a result of luck or trickery, and that you're just one mistake away from being exposed as an incompetent phony. It's incredibly common, affecting everyone from Nobel laureates to CEOs. Your brain, in its infinite wisdom, decides the best way to deal with this mounting pressure is to just get the inevitable exposure over with. It's a form of cognitive self-sabotage, a desire to control your own downfall rather than waiting for someone else to cause it. This thought is your brain trying to release the pressure valve. The anxiety of maintaining the performance of being a competent adult can be so overwhelming that the idea of just confessing and ending the charade feels, for a split second, like a relief. It would be social and professional suicide, of course, but at least you wouldn't have to pretend anymore. The thought isn't a reflection of your actual abilities. It's a reflection of the gap between your perceived abilities and the expectations you feel from others. So when your brain suggests confessing to being a fraud, it's not because you are one. It's just because being a successful, functioning human is exhausting, and your brain is looking for a dramatic exit. Number 2. The casual apocalypse. You're sitting in traffic, minding your own business, when your brain casually drops in the thought, "What if a sinkhole just opened up right now and swallowed this entire highway?" Or you're at your desk, and you find yourself imagining a small plane crashing through the window. These thoughts aren't born from anxiety or fear. They're just there, matter of fact. A sudden, unprompted disaster simulation running as background noise in your head. You don't panic. You just sort of observe the thought, like watching a weird movie, and then move on. This is your brain's threat detection system in its most creative and unhinged state. Our brains evolved to constantly scan the environment for danger. Saber-toothed tigers, rival tribes, poisonous berries. In our relatively safe modern world, that system doesn't have as much to do. So, it gets bored and starts making things up. It's called catastrophizing, but a low-stakes, imaginative version of it. Your brain isn't actually trying to scare you. It's more like a writer brainstorming bad plot twists. What's the most unlikely, yet technically possible way we could all die in this specific location? It's a way to keep its threat assessment muscles limber. By imagining these wild, low-probability disasters, it's essentially reassuring itself that it's prepared for anything, no matter how ridiculous. It's the mental equivalent of a doomsday prepper who has a plan for a zombie apocalypse, a meteor strike, and an invasion of sentient, laser-eyed squirrels. The thoughts are disturbing, sure, but it's just your brain's way of saying, "Don't worry, I've already thought about the giant squid attack. We're good." Number 1. Giggling at a funeral. This might be the most shameful one of all. You're at a solemn event, a funeral, a memorial service, or someone is telling you a deeply tragic story. You know you are supposed to feel sad, empathetic, and respectful. And that is exactly when you feel a bubble of inappropriate laughter rising in your chest. The urge to giggle is so strong it's physically painful to suppress. You bite your lip, you cough, you think of the saddest thing you can imagine, but the hysterical absurdity of the moment is threatening to overwhelm you. You feel like a monster. You're not. This is a very real, very weird phenomenon known as a paradoxical or nervous reaction. When you're faced with an overwhelming amount of a single powerful emotion, like grief, stress, or fear, your brain can sometimes short-circuit. It can't handle the intensity, so it does the emotional equivalent of throwing a pie in its own face. It triggers the opposite reaction. Laughter, in this case, isn't a sign of disrespect. It's a release valve. It's your nervous system trying to regulate an extreme emotional state by introducing a conflicting one. It's the same reason some people laugh when they're terrified on a roller coaster, or why you might smile awkwardly when you get bad news. Your emotional switchboard is overloaded and the wires get crossed. The sheer tension of trying not to laugh in an inappropriate situation can also make it worse, creating a feedback loop of anxiety and suppressed giggles. It's a purely physiological response to high-stress emotional input. Your brain is essentially trying to defuse a bomb, but the only tool it has is a whoopee cushion. So the next time you feel a chuckle at a somber moment, don't judge yourself. Just know that your brain is trying its best, and it's failing in the most awkward way imaginable. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.